This is the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.
The Duke Blue Devils lose in stunning, gut-wrenching fashion in the NCAA tournament, and most of America rejoices. Welcome to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. I'm really not necessarily in that camp, and honest to God, as I think about it,
I was going to say
the light blue is not intentional. However, it does kind of work on this particular day. Welcome into the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. What a tournament we have seen so far, but we're talking a lot of Rangers today.
I was going to say, and this blue was not intentional for Duke, all right? It is supposed to be a Rangers blue because we are going to get into baseball
stuff. Separated by 8 feet and a shade of blue.
Listen, we had a little bit of pre-show talk. I like how you framed that. Duke lost versus UConn won. It is both of them is a great game. It's nice to have a great coda to another great weekend of basketball. Anyway, let's get into it with what's on the show.
Here's What's on the Show, sponsored by NFM.
Well, thank goodness first impressions in baseball last 3 days. The first weekend of Rangers baseball is in the books. Small sample size. It's time to extrapolate a little bit from their season opening series against the Phillies. The new automated balls and strike system is turning heads in a good way. We'll break down the future of that whole shtick in baseball right now. And we've also got some disappointing news this week about one of our sports heroes. So today we're discussing the top 5 falls from grace in sports history. A little bit heavier, but time to dig into it a little bit. Mike, that's what's on the show. Now, who's on the show?
On the show today, if we're going to talk Rangers, let's get our crew who's going to be there on opening day on Friday. Joe Trahan and Teresa Woodard joining us to talk a little bit of Rangers baseball as this team is opened the season 2-1. There were, I think, a lot of Rangers fans that were chicken littling their way through opening day as the offense took forever to get going, but feeling an awful lot better after we've seen the final 2 games of the series play out. Teresa, I know you are the biggest Rangers fan that there is on the planet, certainly within our 4 walls. What say you of what we've seen so far from this first weekend of Rangers baseball?
Yeah, I think I was discussing this with you, Mike, during one of our weekend shows, that in game 1, the opener, I was like, oh my God, are we reliving 2024 and 2025? Until we got to the 9th, and I happened to be in my car listening to the game on the radio in the 9th inning. And all of a sudden I started feeling like, okay, I am not reliving the past. I am now in 2026 and our offense has actually shown up, which was a good thing. So I will say there's a lot to be proud of, I think. I mean, thank goodness the bats are no longer cold, it appears. As you were saying, Mike, Jacob Latz, I mean, what a way to show up. I was definitely concerned with Jacob deGrom. What in the world being scratched on your, that on game 2, that just did not feel good. But anyway, I feel really good about what I've seen so far. Small sample size, but hey, there's a lot of baseball left to play.
Yeah, this is the perfect series for social media discussion because Rangers fans can take this however they want. Lots of positive, some negative too.
And we're getting two hits and a homer from Andrew McCutchen every game, Joe. How big of a surprise has this been right out of the gates?
Yeah, listen, I mean, we know that McCutchen is a pro's pro. I mean, he's been doing this for so long, but even still, for him to jump out of the gate like that, I mean, think about it, you guys. I mean, he had the what turned out to be the game-winning hit in the 10th, and then he was a part of 4 of the 8 runs on Sunday. I mean, with a 3-run homer, you couldn't ask for any more from a guy like McCutchen. On the whole, though, and this is what I tell everyone at this time of year, you can't take a football mentality with baseball, right? Good or bad. And there's been a lot of both, as you guys alluded to, so far with the Rangers. But I do think, when you have a bunch of new guys who come on this roster and they do get off to these quick starts, I mean, think about Mackenzie Gore taking that no-hitter into the 6th inning, a new guy. Brandon Nimmo on base, 6 of 14 plate appearances, new guy. McCutchen, we talked about him, new guy. All good stuff, right? Showing that there's some demonstrated ability early in this thing and that they are here to try and make a difference. And when you think about the core players, of Wyatt Langford and Evan Carter and obviously Corey Seager, he has a bomb already this season. Yeah. Jake Berger, who had a tough year but has a couple of home runs so far this season. I mean, you can certainly see that, especially offensively, and that's where this team really needed to have some pick-me-up moments. They've had them early in the season, and I do think that can help this team as they continue to grow.
And if there's one positive here relative to the Jacob deGrom of it all, it doesn't sound like what he's dealing with is a big issue. He's already talking about, hey, maybe at some point during the Baltimore series, they're still taking it in a day-by-day sense. They have not made any proclamations that he's going to pitch in Baltimore, but they're discussing that as a possibility, and the fact that that's even on the table as a possibility is a good sign relative to, okay, this is not a major issue that Jacob deGrom is dealing with, and it's something that he can potentially anyway get back on the mound here pretty quick.
I do want to stay on the pitching staff joke, because as a Nationals fan, it was a nice little joke when we decided to loan Scherzer and we decided to loan Patrick Corbin and all these guys that had already kind of done something with us to you guys. But now all of a sudden Mackenzie Gore's on the roster and he looks like he slots right in the 3 spot. I mean, he was awesome today. This has been kind of building for him in his career as someone that watched him and actually saw him in person live twice last year. But to add him to this pitching staff where Texas is concerned, Teresa, I mean, we already looked at this rotation and thought, wow, this thing was spectacular last year. But if you add a little bit more depth to this thing, this is going to be impressive. And we might not even need deGrom to be fully healthy the entire year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, his stuff looked really good today. But to Joe's point, this is opening weekend. And so I think all have to kind of tap the brakes a little bit. I love what I've seen so far. We all know there will be slumps. I mean, the bats are going to go cold. And at some point during the season, we're going to say, oh my God, can anybody else, be injured? We're going to have ups and downs. But I do like the additions, especially like you said, Andrew, though, Mackenzie Gore. I mean, he was looking really good out there today. And as you said, if he's our number 3, I am all in. I mean, the pitching staff last year, I mean, that was the highlight. And if the bats could have just done something, we could have done something special. But, we had no offense. And now to see what we've done over the first 3 games and the bats have come alive and we've had good pitching, if we can have both, maybe we could do something in September. We'll see.
It's something to look forward to.
And you guys, Gore is that fulcrum to greatness, right? Because with Evo, with Nathan Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom, you have 2 guys that are just, as long as deGrom can stay healthy and get back on the mound, those guys are going to give you professional starts. But if Gore can find that, like you said, Andrew, that extra stuff that we know he can have, all of a sudden, when you have a 3-headed monster like that and you're just hoping that Leiter can fill in and Kumar Rocker can find some things out. We've already seen what Jacob Latz can do on a last second, just insertion into the lineup. I mean, all of a sudden, man, those kind of things can carry you. Yeah. So you're right, T. I mean, just hold on, Ranger fans. Great start. Long way to go.
Long way.
So 3 in Baltimore. A day off and then opening day on Friday. Doesn't necessarily have to be baseball related, but to our dream team that's going to be there on Friday, anchoring all of the coverage through the afternoon as this game is playing out. What's the thing you 2 are looking forward to most about Friday?
For me, just witnessing baseball in person is special. And that's what I absolutely love. I love to see my team on the field. I love to watch them on TV or listen to them on the radio when they're on the road, but to see my team in action, my hometown team, that is what I most look forward to every year. And just hope always springs eternal, right? Opening day, it's like everybody thinks you got a chance to make a World Series run. So it's a great feeling.
I just want to see the fans with smiles on their faces, you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 years ago when they did the deal and it was so incredible and those fans got treated, and the next 2 years they just kept waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and it never came. Just to see it back and have it back, have those fans back in the building, it's always a cool thing. And then beyond that, I'm always looking for the food. I can't wait to see what they got.
Well, I second that.
They always do a good job, so I can't wait. Little barbecue, nachos, let's go.
As it should be. And hey, to mention that 2023 team, if there's one parallel I feel like between this team and that team was good for the regular season and obviously good enough to have gotten to the playoffs, built for the playoffs. I'm not trying to say that this team's going to go on a World Series run, but there does at least seem to be some parallels between these 2 teams in that regard, that with the rotation that they have, you get this team in a postseason series, could be interesting at the very least.
I was going to say, but a lot of things have changed, including we now have the automated balls and strike system.
We'll do.
We'll dig into that when we come back on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show.
Today's headlines, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers.
The
The Dallas Stars were also in Philadelphia tonight, and they come up short 2-1 in overtime against the Flyers. But the good news, Mikko Rantanen is back. Dallas has 8 more games left in the regular season starting Tuesday night against the Bruins. Okay, guys. So just to put that in perspective, right? The Reds hit 2 homers in that game, and the loudest cheer came from an ABS overturn, all right? Obviously, the look and feel of baseball has changed a lot. There's a lot of discourse on this whole thing. I think if you look at the stats right now, it's kind of running a little over 50% change rate. So the challenges are not as clear-cut as the batters have fantastic eyes, and we've all been led astray by them, and they're complaining at the plate for all these years. But the reality of it is this. I feel like we're getting closer to what should be players deciding the game. My question, based off of what you guys have come into interaction with and how you guys approach ABS as a whole, and I'll start with Teresa here, what do you think we should expect from this system this season, and do you like this inclusion?
It's exciting. I mean, to see what happened in Cincinnati with the crowd being totally all in, my concern was slowing down the game again and just, getting a little hinky, and I always felt like, human error is just kind of part of the game. But what I've seen so far, I'm good with it. I will tell you just a funny story. So my sweet 86-year-old mother watches the Rangers every single night on TV, and she will always say, they miss so many balls and strikes, and she would always say, I think I could call those better than them. So I am excited to talk to her about this as well, to see what she thinks about it, because I think there's a lot of people who sit at home, and we have the benefit of the rectangle, and so we were comfortable saying, oh man, they got that one wrong. Oh man, they got that one wrong. And now, we can all watch as like you said, the players control it now. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I was hesitant coming into this because, like I said, I just feel like human error is part of the game. The human element, I didn't like it being taken away. But we shall see. I mean, so far so good, I guess I'd say.
Joe, you were the one.
86-year-old mother compares herself to CB Buckner. She may be right.
Say,
she's probably right if that's the case.
And Angel Hernandez out of there, but you know what? That's another one.
It's so cute. It's so cute.
Joe, I was going to say, you're the one, I think, a couple of weeks ago when we brought this up that kind of compared this to the Wimbledon system. And sure, it felt like that this early going.
Yeah, Andrew, you and I were watching the Rangers game the other day, and when it popped up, it really feels like, what you see at Wimbledon. And I submit to you, does anyone ever question those calls that are at Wimbledon? Now, obviously, there's a little bit of a difference because when you look in the rule book, depending on the height of a player, the strike zone could vary just a skosh, right? A little bit. But by and large, those players know what the strike zone should be, right? And now we get to find out. And again, we're all products of our environment, right? And growing up in Houston and watching the Oilers have that awful call when Mike Renfroe was in back in the late 70s against the Steelers in an AFC championship game. It was a core memory for me, you guys, and I won't ever forget it. And now that they have some way to change all these calls, because I'm sorry, I agree, Teresa, the human element is in the game, but if we can get it right for all those fans who are watching and we have a system that we think can do that 99% of the time, I'm always going to be for it. And I don't mind a little bit of game changes in terms of having to wait on these calls. By and large, ABS has been really quick. That was the one thing I was worried about, right? And I've been pleased. I'm like, okay, they do it quick, they get it done. Again, reminds me a lot of Wimbledon. And I'm good with it. CB Buckner had a bad day, you guys. 6 of 8 calls he missed. 6 of 8. Those refs have a bad day. The refs are the least paid people on the field. They can have a bad day, and if you can make that bad day right and get it right for the fans, so be it.
Yeah.
Well, because to your point, Joe, there shouldn't be core memories where a kid sees their team have a win stolen from them. It makes me think of the Saints pass interference play from 10, 12 years ago when they briefly
the knife
changed
a little deeper.
That's a core memory for me as an adult.
I know. I'm not trying to make it worse, but I'm trying to make the point of just.
That felt personal. I mean, like you're just going to rip the other one right out.
It wasn't meant to be that way. I apologize. I still think of you and I think of Cowboys. I don't think of Saints. I wasn't trying to sink the knife. But it shouldn't be that way. So if we can fix these things, and I know they went back the other direction with the pass interference penalty, and I get why, because that is such a judgment call. But with a lot of these things that aren't, if you can get it right, get it right. And this is an instance where you can just look at the end of which game was it in the World Baseball Classic?
Yes.
Where it could have been ball 4 instead of strike 3, and the game could have, if they had ABS in that game's not over. Important games are going to now be absolutely square and correct, and that's a good thing.
And on top of it, umpires have less of a chance to allow their personality to affect the game. We have a literal system that says whether they were right or wrong, and it's fast. Now, granted, the fans and the players have a little bit of say in that, too, in terms of how much they dog them, because that will happen. I mean, I'm sorry, Suarez doing it twice in two pitches, that's going to happen a little bit more, but it's going to be interesting to see how the guys that have controlled this game for so long now have to take into that they are not the ultimate authority in this entire thing. All right, still got one more segment come up. Obviously, a bit of a heavier topic. Top 5 falls from grace in sports history. Stay with us.
And now it's time for the top 5.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. It's time now for the top 5. With the news this weekend of golf legend Tiger Woods getting arrested after a car crash on suspicion of a DUI, it raised a simple question for me. Who are the biggest falls in grace from sports history? I went for ubiquity when crafting this list. The biggest names that the most people would notice for the largest deltas from how we used to think of them. Let's start here at number 5, and a little bit of recency bias here, but Bill Belichick. Think of where Bill was after Super Bowl title number 6, the most recognizable voice and steward of NFL history, most championships in the Super Bowl era, greatest coach of all time. But since that moment, there's been a growing list of defeats in both the NFL and college football, and let's say ancillary stuff that's turned him into a bit of an awkward pariah in NFL circles. Oh, by the way, with some 20-year-old baggage. Especially compared to Tom Brady and how he's doing things, Belichick comes in at number 5 for me. Number 4, let's head to baseball. Honorable mention for the PED scandals, but my vote here goes here for Pete Rose. I've been banging this drum on this show for a while. MLB's hit king, Charlie Hustle, played the game the right way, but even with the infamous Black Sox scandal acting as the third base coach, Rose ran right past the stop sign and got thrown out at home for gambling at baseball. 15 years of denials and lying about his gambling as a player, then again as a manager, and again, until he was banned from baseball. He should be in baseball's Hall of Fame, but he only has himself to blame for that one. At number 3, Tiger. If only we could go back to 2019, where it looked like he had salvaged his reputation with the triumph at the Masters. Unfortunately, a pair of car crashes and this most recent DUI are the latest chapters in one of the most frustrating falls from grace in sports history. We're all kind of hoping this recent accident isn't the end of the story, but comparing where he was almost literally walking on water in the mid-2000s, to the litany of scandals and issues that have followed since then, I feel like he has to be here. At number 2, one that hits close to home, Lance Armstrong. Lance is still a household name. It used to be for all the right reasons, and now it's for the wrong ones. 7-time Tour de France winner, cancer survivor, beacon of hope, now a cautionary tale of doping and cheating, bullying, intimidation through the press. From Livestrong wristband to lifetime cycling ban, Armstrong comes in at number 2. And finally, at number 1, OJ. No further statements, Your Honor. Teresa, kick us off here. What do you think of the list? Do you have an example that really sticks out to you?
I think you're spot on. Lance Armstrong and OJ, of course, were the two that most come to mind. But I will tell you, there's one other name that I think could have been considered for inclusion here, and that's Tonya Harding. For me, I guess maybe because I'm a certain age, I just vividly remember that Olympics with Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. And Tonya Harding was sort of this scrappy, she had everything going for her. And then the fall from grace there, to me, was also quite memorable. But I completely agree with the names there on your list.
Joe, what do you think?
I think the list was very well crafted, Andrew. 1 through 4. I may have changed 5.
That's okay.
Because I do think there's a couple names that come to mind. Aaron Hernandez, not so much because he was at this high level, but the potential he could have had with the Patriots, being a tight end, and how low he went. So the delta from where he was to where he ended up, monumental. And then, listen, Michael Vick has been a really interesting story, right? Because he had this fall from grace, but through that, I mean, he kept working through, you guys, and he has remade his public image, and I mean, it feels as though, and Teresa, I know you're an animal advocate. I'm curious about your thoughts about this. If you think it's authentic and you believe it.
Big
That
sigh.
said a lot.
That's a
all
loaded
by
question.
itself.
What?
That's a loaded question. That's a lot.
It's hard to judge what's in someone's heart, and it's hard to judge whether someone is authentically showing remorse for what they've done. I will simply say that there are certain things that is hard for me to find forgiveness for, and dogfighting is right up there.
O.J. Simpson was the no doubt slam dunk number one, and I will say this just to put a bookend on everything, as we got to hit a break. Please, no one ever top O.J. Please.
Yeah.
More of the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show after this.
Joe and Teresa, thank you so much for joining us.
See y'all Friday. It's just about that time for you to turn your attention to the Dallas Stars if you haven't already. They've been having a magnificent season to this point. Hit a little bit of a skid here lately, a 4-game losing streak, but back comes Mikko Rantanen, back come their winning ways, and Dallas is looking rather sharp going into the postseason. They're almost assuredly going to be the number 2 seed in the Central Division, almost assuredly going to have home ice advantage against the Minnesota Wild in the first round of the playoffs, and if they win that, they will almost assuredly face the Colorado Avalanche in the second round, and that's where everybody will get their popcorn out and be ready to take in that series, because it will be fantastic theater if that's indeed the way this thing goes. We've seen this team go to the Western Conference Final 3 consecutive years. They are one of the most reliable things in all of Dallas sports, arguably the most reliable thing in all of Dallas sports.
Especially
and
these
here
days.
they go once again. What's that?
Especially these days.
Yes. Well, yeah, no, exactly. In the current vintage, no doubt.
No, but I mean,
and,
over the last,
here they go again.
Basically since 2016. They've had a full
Yeah.
decade of being either
Very,
at the
very
top
good.
of the West or pretty dang close. They've been awesome
Yeah.
to watch. Really fun team. Hop on the bandwagon, seriously. And join us next week on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. We will see you then.
This has been the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.